she was trying to teach her students what it means to be old, because they didn't know, right? And Julie said this at the very first meeting. She said, when I started teaching gerontology, I was too young to understand what I was doing. Because in order to understand, you need to be able to look at the road behind you and understand. That's much longer than the road ahead. And there needs to be a change in perspective. Okay? In a similar way, when I took that course, or helped as a specimen in that course, one of the ladies in the course, a little old lady, and now I can say little old lady because I'm a little old man, but a little old lady in the course, living in lovely river forest, and the great leisure and pleasure of successful financial planning. Okay? She said, there's something called story worth. Worth story. And my kids signed me up for it. It's an app. And once you get signed up, they keep on sending you prompts every week, with a long series of possible topics for you to write about. And that's really helpful. It's a really good, because when you write, the people who are chosen as possible readers, you don't want to choose people who are going to ridicule you or make fun of you or whatever. But her kids, basically, and some of her close friends were on that list of readers, right? And she said, I've never had so much fun in my life. You could too, by the way. Because, as Christina pointed out in her opening remarks, everybody's got a story. And, some people are lucky enough to be the heroes of their life stories. That could be you. But if you don't write, and if you don't think about such things, it's not going to happen. People will attend your funeral, they'll listen to the priest that never really got to know you. He won't have much to say. People will bless themselves. People will take their prayer cards. You weren't really there. So, I agree with Christina. Sit down and write something. And discuss it with some of your friends. People that you're not afraid of. Okay? And so, for this reason, I more or less tricked my kids into buying a subscription to that app. Okay? $100, well spent. Okay? And they've never complained. So, in any case, in the stories that I wrote, what I noticed about my life was rooted in my teaching. I had taught both sociology and psychology. I loved developmental psychology. I ran a Montessori school, which I founded, with my wife. We found out lots of stuff that we never would have imagined. Okay. In my teaching in sociology, I would often quote a work French sociologist whose name was Marcel Mauss, M-A-U-S-S. He published a famous essay in 1925 called Essai sur le don, which means an essay on the giving of gifts. That's what inspired the story that I'm about to read you. Okay? I'm not going to give you the anthropological theory. I'm not going to, explain any of the technical details, because that's not how a symphony is written. Okay? A symphony is different from other forms of music because it moves from emotion to emotion. That's Brahms. Okay? It moves from emotion to emotion. It does not move from statistics to statistics. It moves in a way that moves people. And guess what? That's what I was after with my stories. Okay. This story is called Looking for the Baby Jesus. And you can hear some of the themes, between the lines. You can hear some of the themes, and, when we get to the question and answer, I want you to ask some of the questions. But you can hear some of the themes that we just heard about in the formal sociological work on the phenomenon of hope and the transformation of identity. Okay. All right. Long, long ago, and far, far away, a big music box made music. If you cranked the handle, Grace danced. Grace was 7. They didn't call her Grace back then. They called her Grazia. Next. How long will we be on that boat? Mama, that ship. Grazia, you help her with your little brother. Rock him asleep. D'accordo, Mama, but the boat, she's already rocking. Racconta, Grazia, un racconto. Non ne conosci. Don't you know a story? The story of the Befana. Befana was a witch. Back home in the mountains, far away from this ship, this city, all these people, Befana wore a shawl on her shoulders and a scarf on her head. Because it gets cold in the mountains, it snows. Befana was old and ugly with just one tooth. It was a gold one. You could see it when she talked, but you had to be careful about what she said. She was quick, she was tricky. Gee, was she telling the truth? She liked to listen for people's secrets, so she could tell on them and laugh. She liked to sweep up in front of her house and listen to the people passing by. One day, 3 strange-looking men were riding by on camels. Camels in Italy. All 3 had funny hats, maybe crowns made out of gold. They saw Befana sweeping. They asked her about directions. We 3 kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we travel afar. Field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Aha, thought Befana. Not from around here. Not very smart, she thought. They sounded funny. Their Italian really wasn't very good. We want to find the newborn king, they said. We have gifts for